The Verdant Grove, a bastion for nature-loving druids in the perpetually peaceful kingdom of sunshine, Heros, was home to the continent of Aetheria's nature worshippers. The bastion, with its verdant foliage, was populated by tree houses and huts built of living wood. For many years the Verdant Grove had known tranquility, its members united in the cause of peace. And yet somehow that peace was falling apart. A rot had found its way into the heart of the grove. Were it an ordinary decomposition, the power of the druids would bolster the life force of the Verdant Grove. But this effort was failing. Ilara, an elven druid, looked down into the dark well from which she regularly drew water from to spread across the garden of her cozy home in the Verdant Grove. A concerned expression could be seen on her face. The well hydrated not only her garden but also herself, and this morning, on tasting the water, she found it bitter. Now, as she looked deep into the dark waters of the well, she couldn't help but wonder what had gone wrong. Ilara trembled as she sensed something ominous from the waters, a dark, corrupting force. Even the small mouthful of water had left her stomach ill at ease, and now, as she looked down, she sensed magic at work, a magic that made her tremble. Ilara stepped back from the well and began to walk with haste. Her destination was a grand tree fortress. The fortress of the Verdant Grove was the central point of the bastion. It was a place where the elders of her community gathered. Ilara ascended the base of the Gaian tree via the stairs that grew out from the tree itself, and soon she came upon a scene she'd never seen before. This demon has invaded our home in secrecy and is corrupting everything it touches. Find it, now. A particularly militant druid, Elder Jasper, was busy giving orders to a gathering of younger druids. Ilara knew the elder quite well. Even in a tranquil space like the Verdant Grove, factions vied for power. Elder Jasper was a figure with a faction of his own, and he had long begun his campaign to inherit the archdruid position when its current holder vacated his post. For Ilara's part, politics was of little interest, but she still held significant sway over the hearts and minds of her fellow druids. As such, Elder Jasper had tried to bring her into his fold, but his abrasive nature left the young moon elf displeased. It would have been better for such a figure to have been a warrior if he wanted to fight so much. Elder Jasper's eyes met hers for a moment, a certain expectation recognizable in his gaze, but Ilara merely frowned. She returned to herself and turned away from the elder in search of another elder whom she actually favored. The young elf found the matronly figure of a human druid seated in a corner of the fortress. Elder Skyhaven had noticed Ilara and waved the woman to join her. Despite the dire nature of the situation, Ilara found herself smiling in her elder's presence. Elder Skyhaven, Ilara asked, "What's going on?" "I came to report a situation at my home, and when I get here, that man is speaking of demons." The older woman smiled bitterly. "I'm afraid it's true. A demon has been casting magic on the grove. We have only found the traces after the demon has passed." Elder Skyhaven sighs. "This has never happened since the Verdant Grove began. It's truly disheartening." Ilara absorbs the information and can't help but shake. There is fear and anger in her, but mostly there is sorrow for the suffering her home is enduring because of the forces of evil. "We must do something." Elder Skyhaven nods. "We will, but the demon is very skilled. It will not be easy to track it down." Ilara asks, "Is there anything specifically that I can do to help?" The elder reaches into her clothes and pulls out a magical flare. This flare generates light through magic rather than fire and will alert the druids to your location when you use it. If you do find the demon, bind it as best you're able, but do not fight it. I know you're a powerful druid. That's why we can't afford to lose you, Ilara. The young elf nods as she accepts the flare and pardons herself from the elder's company. Down on the ground once more, Ilara thinks to herself. And in a moment her body begins to morph. Her clothes become fur, and her features grow progressively more feline in nature. Soon, the animist druid has transformed completely into the form of a black house cat. This way she will be able to stealthily travel throughout the grove and stalk her prey. Despite herself, a certain excitement comes over Ilara. She's never had cause to practice her skills in such a way, but soon she will find out just how powerful she is.